What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and
It's me, Laurel.
so yeah, we wanted to talk about the disaster in Ohio because
That's what it is.
yeah, we're from Ohio,
Yeah,
and we've actually seen some experts that have called it a Chernobyl-like disaster.
yeah. I think it's a lot worse than a lot of people realize and think it is.
And when you look at those almost plume-like clouds,
Plume-like, it is a plume.
with
I saw an article of someone who took off from the Pittsburgh airport, and you could see a black cloud from the airplane.
Did you see that picture from it's like a from space?
Mm,
Let me see if I could find that real quick. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, you can see here passenger photo while plane flew near East Palestine. So it wasn't from space, but it was above the clouds.
yeah, I wonder if that's the Pittsburgh flight.
And look at this. This literally looks like a
And
bomb went
yeah,
off.
yeah, one of the articles I read said that they literally, it's like they nuked the town.
And this is what you would think of when you think of a nuclear bomb going off. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
And when you think of just one town, this is much more than one town. I mean,
Yeah.
this is in the airstream. This is in the jet stream. This is going to spread to how many states is this going to affect? I mean, this is in the air.
Yeah.
This is then going to land and go in the water.
Yep. And it's already in the ground into the well water, which the whole town is on because they're out in, farm country. Um, so it's a lot bigger um, than a lot of people may think.
Yeah, and what were you just saying about people's homes?
Oh, yeah, this is a sad one. Who's gonna want to buy those houses ever?
I mean,
They're probably unsellable at this point.
yeah, think about that. Would you buy a home there this year?
I don't even know if anyone would buy houses there for 10, 20 years. It would have to be so far down the line that this would have to be like a distant, distant memory.
And
Like,
yeah, and
is it,
that's not even this generation.
yeah, is it Jack in the Box that had
Yeah. We don't even have Jack in the Box in
no,
Ohio,
no,
do
we
we?
don't have Jack in the Box. That's like a southern thing.
But tell them every time we see it.
Yeah, you instantly think of the bad beef that they had or whatever it was.
And you know the funny thing about that is that I can't even remember what the situation was,
Yeah.
but I remember that something happened at Jack in the Box, and I just remember it
Well,
to
and
this
I know
day.
wasn't there an issue in the 80s with Tylenol and people didn't buy Tylenol forever?
See, I don't know about
There
that
was
one.
something like that too. So it's like the same type of situation on a smaller scale is going to happen to this town. And even my father said that the railway company, Norfolk Southern, what they should do is they should literally buy all the property in that town, and that town should just be like, it should become like a park land or
A
whatever.
ghost town.
Yeah, a ghost
You
town.
know
And
what's interesting? I was thinking about this the other day. There's a town, it's not really that close to us, but I've heard of it.
Boston,
Well, it's not, I don't think it's that, but
Boston Township.
is there a, you might know it by another name.
Yeah,
What is that ghost town in Ohio that you've heard of?
it's Boston Township.
But what's the,
Helltown.
yeah, there's a town in Ohio that I've heard of. It's got the kids, a
Superstition.
superstition. Kids would call it a name. They would call it Helltown.
Yeah.
It's got a superstitious name, and I don't think I even know the lore behind
But
it.
there's a lore that there was some sort of toxic chemical situation that happened there and the government covered it up. This was like, 50 years ago or something like that.
And the town's deserted.
And the government bought it and now it's included in the national park there.
And here's the funny thing. How many towns, cities, places are like this around the United States or around the world? Think about that.
Yeah, but
It's not just Ohio. I just happen to know about this because I've heard the urban legends about it, and of course, it's called Helltown. I don't even know, does it even have a name?
it's Boston Township.
Boston Township?
Yeah.
And I don't think nobody lives there.
It's within the Cuyahoga Valley National Park now.
Oh.
Yeah. So
And
so
what? They
instead, like,
just and just nobody
you
lives there?
no, you can't build in there now because it's a national park.
Oh. Yeah, so and I want to show you this here. Here's what President Biden was asked about East Palestine, Ohio, because obviously it's starting to get the attention it kind of deserves here,
Yeah.
national
Yeah.
attention. Here's what President Biden had to say.
I want to ask you about a couple of issues here at home. It's been 3 weeks now since the toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, as you know. The mayor says he saw you in Ukraine, and he says it tells you he doesn't care about us. They're asking, is the president coming to Ohio? Do you have any plan to travel to Ohio, and have you talked with the mayor yet?
Let's put this in perspective. Within 2 hours of that derailment, the EPA was in there. Within 2 hours. Every major agency in the United States government that had anything to do with rail and or cleanup was there and is there. In addition to that, I've spoken at length to the congresspersons, the governors, the senators from both states of Pennsylvania and in Ohio. And I've made it clear to them anything they need is available. We'll make it available to them. Whatever happens here, we got to understand it's the responsibility of the railroad company, who's made, by the way, tens of billions of dollars in profits. Tens of billions of dollars of profits lately.
So do you plan to travel there, and have you talked with the mayor?
I can't recall whether I don't think I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to everyone else there, and multiple times. Talked to both the senators, both governors. I've talked to everyone there is to talk to, and we've made it clear that everything is available.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts, Laurel?
I think that while I mean, I'm from Ohio, I lived there my whole life. I feel really bad about everything that happened. It's horrible. I think that the president is doing everything he can, and being the president of the United States, he's being pulled in a million different ways. And
And you got every state that is always wanna, why isn't he here in our state? Why isn't he
yeah,
concerned about this? And don't
he's
get me wrong, we're from Ohio.
yeah. I mean, FEMA's there, the EPA's there. He's spoken with everybody. He's sent a million different assets there to try and take care of what's needed to be done. And meanwhile, he's trying to make sure that this crazy person over in Russia doesn't, decide to blow us up one day, and make sure that China doesn't decide to do the same while they're sending spy balloons over and whatnot. So it's just like there's so much going on right now. I don't think that that's like priority number one at this moment.
You know what I think is a priority though, besides obviously helping those people, which we wanted to mention that.
Oh, he ordered too this weekend that the I think it's the EPA or some agency is going door to door knocking in the entire town to make sure that everyone is okay.
Okay, I'll
Personally.
bring it up because you had it as part of my research here. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, he's trying to do right by these people. So just because he's not physically there in the town, he's still trying. I mean, if I do really really think that he is a very compassionate and empathetic man, and I think he's really trying to do the best he can with everything else going on in all of his presidential duties.
All right, so we got Biden orders weekend door-to-door checks in Ohio after train derailment. Then we also got East Palestine residents file class action lawsuit against Norfolk Southern. Problem with this, you know how long those take.
Yeah, it may be a long time before they see any type of resolution.
And then we also got here Michigan and Texas officials unaware that Ohio contaminated soil, water are taken to their areas. We were sandbagged because now that they've burned off the chemicals, now they're taking away tons and tons and tons
And
of
they're just
contaminated soil.
dumping it in these random states?
Officials from Texas and Michigan said they were unaware the soil and water from the site of East Palestine, Ohio freight train derailment was being taken to their areas. Yeah. You can see here officials conducted a controlled release of chemicals to avoid the risk of an explosion, which is what they're saying here. I would have rather not had it go into the atmosphere and look like Chernobyl and just had it sucked up,
Well,
which is what they're doing now.
there's another article we can go over about that as well.
Wastewater and soil from the site were taken to hazardous waste companies in both Texas and Michigan. I can understand Michigan, but Texas is all the way across the country. Why would you transport it that far?
Don't you think that like the governors of those two states should have been able to approve of that before
I mean,
it's done?
that's what those disposal facilities are for.
Yeah, but we're bringing stuff from way out of state into another state. That's, I don't know. I wouldn't like that.
I don't like that.
No.
But I mean, if that's the case, what would those facilities be for? I mean, that's literally
Well, I mean,
what they're
I
there
know that's
for.
what they're there for, but still, I think that like
And then what if the governor says no?
then they have to find another facility that
What if all the governors say no? I mean, you know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
know.
Like,
make Norfolk Southern take it to their place.
yeah, and this is the problem. You heard President Biden say these railroad companies are making billions and billions of dollars. And then the other controversy here is that, and I'll put it on the screen here so you guys can see it here.
So I read several different articles and forums about this in Ohio, and they're saying that Norfolk Southern did not have to blow up the train and or the cars, and the reason that they did so was it was the cheapest way to get rid of everything, and it was the fastest way because they wanted to get the railway back open so that they could resume transporting their goods.
Which they did actually pretty quickly.
Yes.
So I mean, hats off to them for that. But the problem is look at this disaster they've created in this town and neighboring towns and neighboring states even.
Yeah. So they're saying that the reason that they decided to do a controlled burn was because there was a risk because there was one car or something that was on fire, and there was a risk of it exploding because the vinyl chloride that was inside was then unstable and it could explode the car. So they were deciding on what was the best way to take care of that situation. I read on other websites that they could have brought in like tankers and siphon the chemicals out of there, but that takes a long time. So they obviously didn't choose that because then the rail lines would have been blocked up forever, and obviously it would be much more expensive. I also read that there were 5 cars that carried the chemicals, and they were separated by other cars. They weren't back to back to back. So, from what I've read, I believe they all were not on fire. Only like 1 or 2 of them were, but they decided to blow them all up, which wasn't necessary because there was only the 1 or 2 that were at risk of the explosion. But because it was the cheapest way to get rid of all the material,
heaven forbid we do everything.
they decided to just blow it up.
You know, and it's like this kind of goes
controlled burn.
I know obviously this is a different situation, but this goes back to when we ran the limo and transportation and bus company. Now, obviously this is a transportation company as well, a railroad company, but different. How often did we do things the cheapest way?
Oh, never.
I mean, maybe sometimes, right? I mean, but most of the time,
I don't think we ever did. Because when you do
cost
things,
was a factor.
I mean, it was a factor, but we never tried to do things the cheap way because when you do things the cheap way, it ends up biting you in
would just break later.
ass.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that we always we're thinking about things for the long haul. And I just feel like I've been reading so many reports and so much data on that they were cutting labor, skimping on
Safety checks and
safety checks and
inspections.
inspections, and that's one of the things we were constantly always working on, and we had all these parts, and because we had a fleet of like 15 limos and buses, and we did over 15,000 customers when we
Mhm.
sold the company. 15,000 for a limo and bus company in Ohio and Pennsylvania, and we literally kept our parts on hand,
Replacement parts, yeah.
replacement parts,
We
and
had a
even
replacement
transmissions.
engine
Eh,
at one point,
yeah,
didn't we?
um, I don't think engine, but
I
we had
think
the
we did.
transmissions.
No, we had an engine
We had
at
a
one
lot of
time.
stuff, and the reason was is
A Hummer
because
engine.
literally, it would cost me more to send it out
Or
and
and it
the
would
weight.
cost us more too to have the limo not do its jobs for the weekend and sit there.
And have a bride mad at us that
Oh, that was the
it
worst.
couldn't complete their wedding
That was the
and ruin
worst.
their once in a lifetime day.
Mhm.
And now just like compare that to
And
what's going on in East
yeah. And
Palestine,
don't forget the
ruining their
whole
lives,
yeah.
literally their
And
lives.
don't forget the reason why this thing derailed was because like the brake locked up
Hmm.
and it was locked up for like miles and miles. And the engineer didn't even know that it was locked up until it started to catch fire.
Yeah, and think about what type of safety systems could have been on there. I actually got some
Well,
information
if they
on that
would
we'll
have done
cover.
their inspections, would it have been caught that there was an issue with the
And
brakes?
think about how long that could have been like that.
That's what I'm saying.
And remember, yeah, there's a security video that someone has from like their ring camera or something
Hmm.
in East Palestine or a neighboring city.
That the wheels on fire or
The
something?
wheels on fire going by.
Yeah. Hmm.
So think about like the type of systems that we can have nowadays to detect this type of stuff.
Yeah.
That a company that make billions and billions of dollars in profit every year that they could have for this. Temperature sensors, cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like easy stuff that like I could put on my transportation vehicles, my buses, my limos, my
Yeah.
cars. And these are trains that make billions of dollars in profits and they don't have them. Think
All,
about that. Think
all,
about it. They make billions of dollars in profit and they don't even have temperature sensors on their brakes.
well, I think they did, but they only sense them after a certain point or
It's
something.
the rail lines that sense them like every
Oh.
like it's like
Oh
every
yeah, the distance.
yeah. So think about how sad that is.
Yeah.
These are companies making billions and billions of dollars and they have like the very minimal amount of safety standards.
Yeah.
And this is a company who has fought against having more safety standards. How does this help them? Think about how much money this is going to cost them in the long run. And when they're trained, they just had what, 3
Mhm.
train derailments, or
Mhm.
was it
Mhm.
4?
3, I believe.
Just literally like in the
In the
last
month.
month.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about how much money that cost them to even get them back
Yeah.
up and running
Uh-huh.
and fix that. It's not saving them money in the long run
Well, definitely not now.
to
They're
do
going to be in
this.
big trouble now.
So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Thanks so much for liking, and please share these videos
Yeah.
so that we can get the word out here, and it also helps out our YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the bell icon after you subscribe because it's completely free to do so. Here's some videos you can watch next.
Click this video over here to see breaking information released from the government about the source of where the virus came from.
It's crazy. Or click on this video about what the Supreme Court is going to decide, which could change our lives. So click on one of those videos next,
Thanks for watching, guys,
and I will see you
in the next video. Bye.